Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Croeso, Learning and Skills Scrutiny Committee of Wednesday, 12th of February, 2025. Very important agenda in front of us today. Oh, excuse me. A very warm welcome to members and also officers and any members of the public which are viewing us today. Just for information, we do have some members that are desperately trying to join us. So our numbers will be swelled as the meeting continues. But at this moment in time, we are quorate and we will continue to hold the meeting as long as we are quorate. Item 1 on your agenda, apologies. We've had apologies from Councillor Angela and also Finance Officer Nancy Wozencraft. Do we have any others?
I've not received any others, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody, any knowledge of any further apologies? If not, we go on to disclosures of interest. I invite people to members to give disclosures. Catherine. Catherine is desperately trying to unmute there, but not having much luck at this moment in time.
There, done it. Sorry, my phone's not working properly. Yes, disclosure of interest as Chair of Governors for Yscol Broken Glythe. I obviously won't be able to take part in discussions. Thank
you, Catherine. And obviously, I'll mention it as we come to the agenda item, but obviously a very difficult day for us to consider. And I'm sure you will give it the due consideration it deserves, but understand the emotions that you will be feeling today. No, any further declarations? Okay, item 3 on your agenda, standard agenda item, declarations of party whip. Has anybody got anything to declare? No, if not, I'll move on to item 4 on your agenda. It is the Yscol Broken Glythe report, the consultation report. And as you heard, everybody, that Catherine give a declaration, and then we'll now go to the backstage part of the meeting. Thanks, Catherine. Inevitably, we're going to just wait for Catherine to go, and then we'll move on.
Chair, I've moved Catherine backstage.
Thank you, Kath. Right, item 4 on the agenda, Yscol Broken Glythe, a consultation report to receive and scrutinise the consultation report and appendices. As I mentioned to Catherine before, it's always difficult when we consider these things, and I ask members to remember that in their comments, and let's hope we can come up with some good conclusions and recommendation to help the Cabinet in their thinking. I remind members that we have had this report before us before, and we've given recommendations to Cabinet, which I don't want to reenact that. So we are considering the consultation report, but obviously I'm not going to curtail any comment if people have anything to make. Councillor Peter, you giving us some introduction?
Just a very short introduction, Chair. As you've already said, this is the consultation report. So what we are looking at here are the responses from the public, from the schools community, from Estin around the proposals that you looked at in Scrutiny Committee and have now gone out to the public for consultation. I'd particularly like to draw attention to section 2 of the report on page 7 and the subsection of that, subsection 15, where the alternative options are brought forward. These are the responses that, as we strongly encouraged the community to come forward with, as being different ideas that might or might not have been considered in detail before we went out to consultation. And I, on behalf of Cabinet, would appreciate very much the comments of Scrutiny in respect as to whether the officers have given us strong guidance and have clearly taken into account those comments and whether there is anything there that we should actually consider as a viable alternative to the original proposal to close this school. As has been mentioned previously, this is a particularly challenging consultation for Cabinet, because this is a school which draws very heavily in its membership from within its catchment, whereas some of the schools that we've looked at previously have drawn very heavily from outside their catchment, where pupils are closer to other schools. So I think it's worth noting that there are two other Cabinet colleagues here listening into your deliberations today to help us reach our final conclusions when this comes before us. And I'm going to pass you across to Marianne Evans, who's going to lead for the Education Service in taking you through the report, taking you through the consultation. We have Dr. Richard, the Director, here, although he has said he has to duck out for another meeting at 11:30 briefly. And we also have Anwin Orals here to respond if there's any education-specific comments that you wish to make. So thank you, Marianne.
Thank you, Councillor Pete. Marianne, before we come to you, thank you for recognising the importance of scrutiny in relation to this paper, Councillor Pete. I do think the scrutiny of this report would have been a lot easier if you would have responded to the recommendations from the Scrutiny Committee of the 17th of September to Cabinet in relation to this report. We've received no comment. Reminders have been issued to yourself, but Cabinet have completely disregarded Scrutiny's comments on this proposals and consultations prior to this, and I'm afraid those questions will be asked again today, and if we'd have had the answers to them, we wouldn't have had to be repetitive. Any explanation why we haven't had a response?
We are mindful of the fact that we were in a consultation period and didn't wish to predetermine anything that we said by responding to those comments.
So we're completely disregarding the paper then? Yeah, the leader gave an assurance in the Cabinet meeting when I raised it that he would be responding to scrutiny in relation to it.
We will be, but in respect
Right,
to
well, okay.
the stage after this stage, with the consultation response and the responses that come at this point.
Well, be courteous enough to inform us that that is the process you're following, but you've gone beyond the statutory duty of responding to scrutiny recommendations, and there's a track record which is continuous, and I was told in Estin last week to be assertive over it because it is important that the responses to recommendations come forward to us.
That point is noted, and thank you.
Thanks, Marianne.
Okay, thank you all. What a da pawb. What you have in front of you is the outcome of the consultation that we've held regarding proposal to close Ysgol Broken Llaeth in Llansilin from September 2025. So you'll see that we held the consultation in the autumn term, and we had 162 responses to the consultation. We've analysed all the responses and provided the feedback in the consultation report. You also have Estin's response within the pack as well to note. We also updated the impact assessment papers as well to take account of issues raised during the consultation period. I have to say, you know, it's a thorough piece of work. I hope that Scrutiny understand the detail and the work gone into it. But I also like to thank everybody who's responded, in particular the school and the school communities, and the parents and others who responded as well. And really, I'll just open up to questions.
Members, it's a very comprehensive document pack. Members, you've got the proposal paper. If there's any queries on that, I'm trying to put a bit of structure to it. The proposal papers before you explains the consultation, it explains the comments on school, impacts on pupils, impact on the community, impact on staff, alternative options, reason for proposals, and savings. That's a quick summary of that proposal paper. Do you want to make any comment on that, or do you want to go straight to the consultation responses, Lucy? And welcome to the meeting. You've had a few problems getting in. Lucy, you're still muted. And also Aled, welcome to the meeting. Okay, Lucy, you're with us now.
Apologies, this is more to do with the consultation response, Gwenver. Is it all right to go into that?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
I mean, one of the alternatives that's been discussed and was raised in the consultation was the option of pupils going to Llanfachlin rather than to Llanrada, and there seem to be some very good reasons for that in terms of the high school pupils are already going to Llanfachlin, so there's transport going to Llanfachlin already. Siblings would be going to Llanfachlin, so there's already pupils moving in that direction, and I don't feel confident that enough thought has gone into actually that option and how that might run in comparison to the Llanrada option.
Thank you, Lucy. There does appear to be some confusion on the direction of these pupils. So, Marianne, have you got any comment on that?
Yeah, the proposal is for the school to close and pupils to transfer to their alternative, to the closest alternative schools in Powys, because we want the children to sort of stay in Powys and have the curriculum, the Welsh curriculum and opportunities for the Welsh language, knowing that Llangollen is located very, very close to the border and Oswestry and the schools in Oswestry. So the nearest school for the majority of pupils currently at Brokenllaeth is Llanrhaeadr y Mochnant. So it is closer to Llangollen than Llanfachlin. So that's why the proposal is as it is, and it's for pupils to transfer to the closest alternative schools. Most of them would be closer to Llanrhaeadr. Does that explain that?
It explains it, but it doesn't negate the practicalities, I suppose, of pupils going to Llanfachlin rather than Llanrada.
Okay, I think as well we would be passing another school, so Llansanfraid is in the mix there, and Llanfechan as well. So Llanfachlin would be the furthest school for those pupils from Llangollen. Although comments have been raised about the fact that maybe Llanrhaeadr y Mochnant isn't a natural pull for those families who live in Llangollen, sort of being the other side of the valley. But yeah, the comments noted there.
Okay, Councillor Aled.
Thank you. And can you confirm how many schools would, just following on from what Lucy is saying, it's not the point I wanted to make, but which schools would you provide free transport for? Because some pupils are closer to Llansanfraid. Can you, will you provide free transport to their closest school?
The new home to school transport policy came into operation, was approved in at the end of September last year. It will come into operation next September. So the policy has changed, and the policy now provides transport to the catchment school. So in the case of Llanrhaeadr y Mochnant and Llangollen, Llanrhaeadr y Mochnant's catchment area would be extended to include the current catchment of Llangollen. So wherever a pupil lives, if the pupil lives in the new catchment of Llanrhaeadr, then transport will be provided to Llanrhaeadr. If the pupil doesn't live in the catchment of Llanrhaeadr, the new Llanrhaeadr, then obviously transport would be then provided to their catchment school, be that maybe Llansanfraid. So it depends on the actual, where the pupil lives.
Yes, all the pupils within the going to Llansillen school do live within the catchment area, and is a whole catchment area transferring to the Llanrhaeadr catchment area. Yeah.
Again, it depends where pupils live, doesn't it? So if the redefined catchment area of Llanrhaeadr, is redefined, and then the pupil doesn't live in the redefined area, then they would obviously go to their nearest, to the new catchment school. That could be Llansanfraid. It depends where the pupils live.
Have you? Yeah, the question was: does the whole of Llansillen catchment transfer to the Llanrhaeadr catchment?
I think there's one pupil that's closer to Llansanfraid.
So are you going to redraw Llansanfraid catchment as well, or not?
We'll have to look at the whole Llanrhaeadr y Mochnant catchment area first. So, you know, it depends where the pupils live.
Shouldn't the catchment areas be sorted out before even the consultation stage, to be honest with you?
Well, it all depends, doesn't it? Because actually, if the proposal doesn't go ahead, and we're still in the process, if the proposal doesn't go ahead, there wouldn't be a point to redefine the catchment area. So it does come after the process of the consultation process.
That makes it extremely difficult to respond to whether people who can't afford to transfer their children to their can't afford to take children to school. They rely on a Powys transport service to transport the children. It makes it extremely difficult for them to take a view on the proposal to go to Llanrydder. And there's real concern. There's once children are on school transport, breakfast clubs and after school issues do fall away, and they can't attend those. And certainly with work patterns of the area, they do go in the opposite direction to Llanrydder. And you know my worries, Marianne, is it's about children moving over the border to their closest school, and your new transport policy hasn't been tested in court, has it?
I don't think any case has been made against the new transport policy, no.
But there's been very clear cases in Pembrokeshire. I think it was Pembrokeshire, Carmarthen area, that's from years ago now, that children had to be transported to their closest school, regardless of borders. But that really does need to be bottomed out, because there will be appeals for children to be taken to, transported over to Shropshire. I'm almost certain of that. But with partly with that border in mind, can I ask the portfolio holder, what is the vision statement and guiding principle that underlines the transformation policy here in Powys?
Our vision is to maintain as many pupils within Powys schools as possible.
Well, do you want to read it out, or shall I read it out?
By all means, read it out, because you have it in front of you and I don't.
All children and young people in Powys will experience high quality, inspiring education to help develop their knowledge, skills, and attributes that will enable them to become healthy, personal, fulfilled, economically productive, socially responsible, and globally engaged citizen of 21st century Wales. And those are the crucial words towards the end, 21st century Wales. And if you do not get a Welsh education and force children to go over the border to Powys, how does your proposals sit alongside your vision statement and guiding principle?
Without prejudging or predetermining the outcome of the application, there is that offer on the table. There is the choice of moving to Llanrydder School, but we recognise that as an authority we cannot force people to go to any particular school because of parental choice, and it will be up to the individual parents to choose where they wish to have their children educated. That's a fundamental principle of education that's been in place since I can't remember when the Conservatives introduced it. It was sometime in the 1980s, wasn't it?
But why would you put barriers to stop people achieving that? You are putting barriers between children and being globally engaged citizens of 21st century Wales. You are certainly putting barriers.
I'm not sure where you see the barriers, because children from Llansilin that wish to be educated through the Welsh medium are currently travelling to Llanrydder. There's no different there. It's just will be English medium children there, or if they live closer to Llansanfraid, that option will be there for them. It's no different. In many ways, you could argue that it's offering equity for pupils living in that area.
But you're sort of disregarding the, lots of young families now have two working parents, and preschool and post-school sort of wraparound issues are extremely important to them. And if that's not available for them in Powys, they are forced to go over the border to Shropshire.
Not quite following what you're saying here. The wraparound will be available within whichever schools they're going to.
Will there be a couple of bus services, one to take children there before the breakfast club, one to take them there for the start of the day?
They'll have the same opportunities of everyone else in the same position. I think Marianne is trying to come in on this.
Yeah. Again, as I said before, we understand Llansillen is very close to the border, and we understand that many families, as was picked up during consultation, they're working in Oswestry, etc. So we've recognised in the consultation responses the fact that transferring to a school in Powys, which is what we want those pupils to do, to be able to have access to the Welsh curriculum, have access to the Welsh language, be educated in the local area. However, that does have an impact on families who have to date had access to breakfast club after school very, very locally in Llansillen. And as I said last time we were in Scrutiny, if you look at where the pupils come from currently that attend Broken Llaeth, the vast majority come from Llansillen and are really based in the village. I would say that, again, this is one of the examples of a school that is a real community school, i.e. it educates pupils who live in that community, which is quite different to some of our previous schools. So we do recognise that there would be difficulties for parents to access, take the children to after-school clubs or pick them up, etc. But that is the same for a number of schools. And Llanrhaeadr and Mochnant is, although it's a village school, it also serves a wide rural community. So, these schools are used to providing after-school clubs, extracurricular activities to parents and children from, who aren't reliant who don't live close and they're reliant on home-to-school transport. So, it is an issue. We do recognise it, and I hope that is recognised in the consultation responses.
Diolch, Marianne, but children that live in Llanrhaeadr don't face, or surrounding area of Llanrhaeadr, parents don't face a 20-mile round trip to access pre and post school day function.
Given the hinterland of Llanrhaeadr, there are parents that travel quite a distance to come to Llanrhaeadr as well. But we do recognise the issue and the impact on families. But the main issue here is that the proposal is for them to have education within Powys.
I accept you recognise it, but portfolio holder, what are you going to do to mitigate the challenges that some families will face?
At this stage, we haven't taken the decision to close this, so mitigation if I'm saying to you these are the mitigation steps, I would essentially be predetermining the application, wouldn't I, Aled?
I'm sorry, that's nonsense. You've got a proposal here. It should be a well-rounded proposal, which includes mitigation.
Well, I said to you earlier, there are children in Llansillen at the moment who are attending Welsh medium education in Llanrhaeadr. They will have, the English-speaking pupils will have the same experience. So it's not as if we are moving an English medium school, a dual stream school to a dual stream school. I understand what you are suggesting here, but we have seen these closures come on a number of occasions where pupils have seen the same situation. I mentioned Castle Coronian as an example. So we are actually following precedent that has been set previously in terms of this.
Alid, I think you've explored that point. I'm content with it. You haven't had the answer that you deserve, but have you got any further points to make?
I got points around finances and stuff, but happy for others to come in.
Shall I go through the list and come back to you, Alid? Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, can I just follow on? Thank you, Chair. Can I just follow on from the point that Alid's just made? Councillor Peace just said there are a number of pupils from Llansilin attending Llanryddion for Welsh medium. Do we have the actual numbers of those pupils?
Yes, we've got 11.
Okay, so there'll be 36 children from the Llansilin catchment area that needs transport somewhere. Okay. I think one of the recommendations that we will need to make from this meeting, Chair, is that before it goes to formal consultation, that the catchment area maps need to be provided if the school were to close, so that parents can make informed decisions appropriately. Linked to that, do we know how many pupils from England attend the school?
From England,
Euro.
That
Yeah.
attend Llansilin?
I think we've got one at the moment.
Right. Okay. So it is largely okay. Right. Fine. I think transport is a major issue because I would be with Alid. I can remember when I was an officer, we had guidance from Welsh. Well, we had written response from Welsh government to say that we have to transport to the closest school, whether that was in England or Wales, but they'd want all pupils to have access to Welsh medium, Welsh education. So if that still applies, you may have transport going both ways, but I think we leave that to officers to actually clarify that with Welsh government, and that, as Alid said, that may be subject to challenge. I'll leave it there for now, but I will come back like Alid on some questions from finance.
Councillor Gareth. I'm finding it a little bit difficult chairing this meeting because we are consulting the consultation paper, and every time everybody makes a comment, I scroll down there and see if this is relevant to the consultation period. But both points have just been made, and I'm sorry to reiterate it. The two recommendations we made to Cabinet, one was in relation to school transport, and the other was in relation to catchments. We could have negated this debate today if we'd have had them answers. Councillor Chloe.
Chair, can I've got the scrutiny recommendations up, and one is assurance around progression on Welsh language, and the other was on transport. There was no recommendation on catchments.
All right. Well, the school transport is interlinked with catchment. If you read the rest of the paper, you'll see where the recommendations came from. Clearly, Councillor Pete, you hadn't seen the paper, or you would have realised that. Councillor Chloe.
Thank you, Chair. I have had a look through the papers, and I think from an area that has had a school close in our community not that long ago. I note all the comments from the consultation around concerns around the impact on the community of losing this resource. You know, you can see the budget requirements, and you can see the pressures on the council, and it's a small school, and so I can see why the proposal's gone out for this preferred option to sort of to close it. But I am really concerned about the impact it would have on the community, and I can see that we've got an asset management policy which the council would use for its buildings, but I just wonder, is there any scope for providing support to the community so that they don't lose this vital sort of hub of their village?
Yeah, I'll come in on that. It was very clearly the impact on the community is significant. The linkages between the Memorial Hall and the school are also very important as well. And you can see from the documentation the number of concern about the impact on the community. So in terms of should the school close, then again, we would engage with the community about what would happen to the building, what would happen to the site of the school. and see if there were any options to explore in terms of a community asset transfer or anything along that line, recognising the importance of it. In terms of the village hall itself and the activities that take place, again, something we've considered with other proposals is whether there are any support that we can provide in terms of grants or you know, signpost them to different options for funding, etc. So we would explore that with the community should the proposal be approved.
Thanks, Marianne. Sorry to come back again, if I may, Chair, just on a brief point there. Could you just provide a bit more detail about the engagement? Because so far I found that engagement activities from the council can sometimes feel a bit like it's not really a two-way conversation, I suppose. So just to find out what the structure of that looks like, how it opens up conversations and what resource there is within the council to do that, because it's not, unfortunately, it's not a free activity. Doing proper engagement, you know, it does require resource and time.
In terms of the consultation process or sort of engagement with the community,
with the community, should this close to try and find the best use and the way forward for people?
We would start off with the community council and start the conversations there, going wider into the community and into sort of the different groups that use the village hall, etc. So it'd probably be on a, you know, that kind of approach. We would have other officers from the authority who are more involved in community, etc., community wellbeing, etc., who would engage as well.
Thanks, Marianne.
Thank you. Councillor Allard.
I missed the beginning of the discussion. I've been appointed to the Llansilin Management Board by Powys County Council. I'm the Powys rep on that. So I won't talk about the community hall and its links to the school and that important link between the two. But can I just quickly comment on the engagement process? I did organise a public meeting and invited officers and cabinet members to attend. None were available, and I know officers organised a day for the cabinet to go and see the school, and only out of the whole cabinet, only Councillor Roberts turned up. I know the leader was ill and he joined online, but when the school in Councillor Chloe's area closed, you know, I and most of the cabinets went down and talked to the community. And as a cabinet member, when I was a cabinet member, I've talked to the community meetings in Dolai and other areas of when difficult decisions have been taken. So I do not hold out much hope for the future engagement process. And there will be clearly an issue around a community transfer, because it's the football field or the playing field is the only green space within Llansilin within public ownership. So when there's references to potential asset realization, or however you term it, a sale of playing fields for development, there will be real strong pushback against that. Can I also just go into finance a little bit now? There was the backlog in maintenance. I only got this. I've been asking for the detail of this for a very long time. And thanks to Marianne and Sarah for sending that out to me. But on going through it, I understand that of what was the total figure? 120 something, wasn't it? 1,000 backlog?
27.
27. About 90,000 of that related to a defunct mobile within the playground. It hasn't been used for years. I think they've asked for it to be taken away. So the backlog in maintenance is relatively small. That's not made clear within this either. Am I correct in that, Councillor Roberts?
You need to ask officers. I'm here to hear what you're saying. I think I made it, sorry, Aled, you were not here at the start of the meeting where I made it clear that I was here to listen, to have guidance from Scrutiny as to areas to look at, and particularly to look at the alternative suggestions that have been brought forward to give assurance to myself and other cabinet members that officers have actually addressed what has been written there.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was use lambing got in the way of me and a slow connection. So apologies for being late, Chair.
Oh, it's absolutely fine, Councillor Ali. Marianne.
Yeah, on the condition survey, I'll just give a bit of background. So the previous figure I think we included in the consultation report was higher. The council has now carried out condition assessments on all its schools over the last summer into the autumn term. The information came through towards the end of the year, and the property team have been verifying the information on the reports. And as you can imagine, there's a significant number of reports to go through. The condition of Ysgol Bro Cynllaeth, just to make this really clear as well, in the consultation report, in the consultation documents, the condition was a C. So what we've seen now is the condition of Ysgol Bro Cynllaeth is now being recategorised as a B. But I will say that a number of schools throughout the county have been recategorised as part of this condition assessment. But it also reflects the investment that's gone into Bro Cynllaeth as well over the last few years. Just to put that out there. So in terms of then the comparison with Llanrhaeadr and Mochnant, the Llanrhaeadr and Mochnant was a B and still remains a B with the new condition assessments.
Sorry, Marianne, I thought Llanrhaeadr was a A. With
the B, the B.
Oh, it's B. Okay.
Yeah.
Has that been sorry, Chair, but has that been reassessed? It was A for relatively new school.
It was B in the consultation document, so it's still a B.
Ah, okay. Sorry, Marianne.
I'm allowing you a lot of flexibility here, Aled.
Apologies.
Questions in relation to the consultation report, please. I've got nobody showing at the moment. Councillor Gareth.
Sorry, Chair, I was on mute. Yeah, can I just clarify something around the finances? Are officers able to give us a breakdown of the projected savings that will be made if the pupils went to Shropshire?
Yeah, I'll start with Mary's on the call as well. So we have in the cabinet report, you'll see that we've assessed the costs of pupils going out of county as well, because it was such a significant issue raised in the consultation reports. So the information is there in the cabinet report. Mary, do you want to come in?
Yes, that's fine. So it's paragraph 4.6, isn't it, that we put those details in. The alternative estimates, so they're based on the same 25 learners and assumes that all 25 learners would transfer to a school outside of Powys, so in Shropshire. We've used the formula projections, and it assumes no additional transport costs on the basis that the transport policy will have changed by then to the catchment school basis. So based on that, then we would expect the full formula funding budget share for Ysgol Bro Cynllaeth to be saved, which would be 206.6 thousand. And no funding would need to transfer to any of the other schools within Powys for that. We've reduced that then for the statutory testing and for the business rates. So there's an element removed from that, which comes back to that £201,800. We've also included an element in there then to bring that saving down based on the potential for losing some of the RSG as a result of the pupils not attending pupils in Powys as well, which is coming out at 105,000.
So which elements of the SSA does that take account of?
It's anything related to the pupil numbers mainstream schools. So that's based on the SSA unit for primary school pupils.
Okay, so is there more than one SSA element?
The formula for primaries, I think, takes account of deprivation and sparsity as well, but in terms of the pupil numbers moving, that's the SSA unit for that.
So is that the net? So, because obviously that's SSA, then have you adjusted that then for to take off the council tax element?
No, that hasn't been done. We're trying to take as prudent an approach to this as we can. So potentially that sort of loss would be mitigated by that percentage for that would be council tax then.
Yeah, I'm just trying to gauge what is the 105 the impact on the SSA, or is that the net impact on the revenue budget?
That's the impact on the SSA.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
So that's savings understated then.
Potentially, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Can I just ask Marianne one question linked to finance as well, Chair?
Stretching the boundaries.
Thank you. I just want what the current staffing in the school is, because I'm quite surprised that at school 25, I assume there's less than 2 full-time teachers there then, is there?
I'll need to check that for you, but I think there's two teachers in that school. The head teacher is teachers as well.
Yeah, one of those isn't full-time.
So we can get that information to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get back on track. Thanks, Councillor Gareth. I know the information is very relevant and it's better for our understanding, but let's get back on track. Councillor Allard.
Thank you. On the, I mentioned this to Marianne yesterday, and it's this information has come through the consultation process, so I hope you don't mind me picking it up, but it doesn't refer to any grants, potential grants the Post receives for education, and it doesn't also doesn't it doesn't the calculation here doesn't reflect the potential loss of pupils to a high school, because once children go over the border, they would probably follow their cohort and go to marches or other schools in Shropshire. So the per funding per pupil from Welsh Government through the RSG would be impacted for those at high school as well, and that's not reflected here. So in a way, when I asked the question originally, I wanted sort of per pupil figure for the lifetime of that child, if they were to post child to take that decision to go across the border. So there's the grant element and also the high school element.
We can certainly model up the impact on the high school should the pupils all go out of county and not come in. So we can do that for Cabinet next week. And the other one, Aled, is around the grants that Broken Llaeth receive. Mary, is that something we could look at?
Yes, we'd be able to get that, no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have we explored that? Just a quick question from myself. In the document in relation to the Welsh language, I don't believe Councillor Bryn's with us today. I don't think it's clear. The majority of those speakers, those pupils in Ysgol Bro English speakers, if they all do transport across, I don't think it's made clear in the document or the answers what that would do to the journey of Welsh language in Llanrhaeadr School. That could acutely alter the balance of that journey in Llanrhaeadr, and I don't think the consultation responses pick up that totally.
Okay, we can strengthen that as well, but you are correct. If all the pupils from Broken Llaeth transfer to Llanrhaeadr, it does switch the balance with the English stream becoming slightly bigger than the Welsh stream. And if I'm looking as well at the pattern of the Welsh stream in Llanrhaeadr, and it's a little bit up and down, so it doesn't follow it doesn't follow a pattern that it's growing. Yes, there's quite a large group in reception, but then there's a very tiny group in year one. So there isn't that kind of pattern of growth that we see in other schools, in other Welsh medium schools or other dual stream schools, where the growth is happening at the lower end of the school. But yeah, we note that point, and I think we have picked it up in some of the impact assessments, the impact on Llanrhaeadr.
Diolch, Marianne. Councillor Aled.
Thank you. Some points that came out in the consultation with the community. In the report, you talk about pupils would be taught in classes with peers of a similar age. The classroom structure is the same in Llanrhaeadr as it is in Llansillen. Why have you left that line in?
Yes, so Llanrhaeadr is a 4-class school, dual stream.
Dual
so
stream.
12 medium classes, 2 English medium classes. So you are correct to say that pupils, if Llansillen transferred to Llanrhaeadr, then they would still be in the same 2-class structure because of the way the school is structured. However, and I think this is the important point here, Llanrhaeadr is a larger school, so it's a 4-class school, and it doesn't operate in silos. It doesn't operate in segregation. So pupils would have more opportunities to mix with their peers because there's a larger group of peers, albeit Welsh medium or English medium, within that school. I don't know whether Anwen, do you want to come in or?
But there's within the class, it's a similar age range as within Llansillen, isn't it?
It is.
So,
but it's
so that line
school.
should be taken out then, should it or not?
I don't think it should be taken out because it's part of a large school, and the opportunities within that school operating as one body.
Yes, but you say that in another point above, pupils would attend larger school, which would provide a wider range of educational and extracurricular opportunities. And a further point, a couple of down, is the point about similar ages.
Yes, I stand by it because they are part of a larger school.
In classes, no, it says pupils would be taught in classes with peers of similar ages, which is exactly the same age range as in Llansillen.
Okay, I take your point there.
Okay, yep, point taken. Councillor Gareth.
Yeah, just looking at the class structure in Llanrhaeadr Machland, are we happy there's enough places available for the children from Llansillen? Because on my calculation, it looks as though the English medium class will be 37 pupils in September in Key Stage 2. And that year 5 will be 7 pupils above the admission number, and year 3 will be 2 pupils above the admission number. Because I think if my calculation's right, the admission number for Llanrhaeadr will be 17. And year 5 will have 24 pupils in it, and year 3 will have 19 pupils in it.
You're right. The pan is 17, Gareth. Some year groups, when you put them all together and they're all combined, some year groups do go over pan. But I think this is where that conversation with the governing body needs to come in, because there are surplus places in Llanrhaeadr. So there's 35 surplus places in Llanrhaeadr. It's that issue of the pan per year group that we will need to take into account. Then again, the pan covers both Welsh stream and English stream. So it's all about the flexibility within that structure.
But I am aware of schools that have had pupils coming in, applying for places in the school and being rejected because that year group is over their admission number. And year 5 will be 7 year pupils over, which is significant.
And I think
and I've also got concerns. I assume there isn't a 5th classroom in the school.
There's a Cilchmeithrin in the school that takes up the 5th classroom.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at a junior class of 37 pupils.
It depends how the school's structured, doesn't it? So there are currently two classes English medium, 2 classes Welsh.
They're a natural infant junior split, aren't they? So are we saying that we're going to have infants and year 3 together?
It would be up to the governing body, the school, wouldn't it? But actually, there is enough spaces in the school. Some year
Okay.
groups, yes,
Yeah.
slightly over par.
I recognise where we're going with this. And Gareth, yes, a very valid question. This was recognised. It's the committee requested, and I'm going to say it again. Our Learning and Skills Committee of the 17th of September is part of that consultation. It's a feed into the cabinet, and what you've just asked, Gareth, is raised there, but it isn't in relation to what we're scrutinising today.
Okay,
And
thank you.
that-
Sorry,
and I'm
I
trying.
do
I'm trying to
apologise,
be-
Chair.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to be very, very flexible. You've made the point, but I'm trying to be very, very flexible, and perhaps being flexible isn't helping the matter. I've got the chief executive coming in.
You got ahead of me there, Councillor Grimble, so thank you very much for reiterating that point. I think it's also important in scrutiny, though, just closing off the point around the classes, that there are assumptions being made here. We do not know for definite where the children will go if this school closes. And so that will need to be factored in at the point of, if a decision is made to close the school, then depending on the receiving school, they will have to look at the intake and reconfigure their classes accordingly and structure that accordingly. So at this moment in time, it would be impossible for anybody to make confirmation around those points that are being asked, because it's just an assumption that if this happens, then this may take place. But the main point was around sticking to the paper that is before us in terms of the scrutiny, as this is the second time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief Executive. But again, that flexibility, those questions about receiving schools were asked in the consultation document. So that's why I give it some flexibility, but obviously we're straining into different things. Councillor Allied.
And the capacity issue really did come out in the consultation. When I met the community, that was a really strong point that came out, and I don't think it's been fully addressed, because there's potentially a significant capital investment required if an additional classroom has to be provided. You know, your impact assessment is very, very clear on your revised impact assessment is very clear on the potential negative impact on the community and also the pupils. And another issue that came out strongly within the report is what is the travel times guidance for children of primary age school? What's the travel time guidance?
There isn't any guidance around travel times anymore. There used to be, but there isn't anymore.
Okay, so you're not working to a target at all. There used to be 45, I thought, was it, or an hour for seniors?
Yeah, it used to be 45 and an hour for secondary, but then again, there isn't any stated travel time in the Learning Travel Rail measure.
Okay, because yeah, no, there's pupils catching minibuses for 7:30 in the morning to travel up to Llanrhaeadr at the moment. So I was just wondering if that was acceptable to Councillor Roberts. Thank you, Leader. Chair.
Councillor Lucy.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask about, my mind's gone completely blank now. Yeah, sorry, it was in relation to the consultation. Obviously, you know, you consulted widely with the pupils and staff and governors and at Llansilin, but this change would, assuming that the pupils did move to Llanrhaeadr, there would obviously be a significant impact on the school at Llanrhaeadr from what we've been discussing with classroom sizes, etc. Was there any consultation with Llanrhaeadr governors or parents?
In terms of Llanrhaeadr and the affected schools, they all receive copies of the consultation documents, so they're made aware of the consultation. But we haven't met with them directly. And also, if you remember, the proposal is to transfer to the nearest alternative schools in Powys. So we haven't named Llanrhaeadr as a receiving school.
Okay, I'm gonna curtail the debate there. We do have the impact assessments to look at as well. I'm happy to continue because Aled has put his hand up. Members, I should have mentioned that prior to starting the meeting, I have a commitment to go to, which I can't avoid. It's unfortunate. I did my level best to avoid it, but sadly my vice chairman has been taken ill this evening, so I have to go across to another meeting. And I spoke to Councillor Lucy, who said she would continue. I was rather hoping that we would have concluded this report by now, but Councillor Lucy, if you're happy to continue at this stage, my humble apologies to everybody, but it really is unavoidable, and wearing too many hats at the moment, I'm afraid, and it's difficult. Councillor Lucy, are you happy to continue? Yeah, I really am sorry.
Not sure happy is the right word, but yes.
I was going to conclude the debate then, but Councillor Aled has raised his hand. So, members, if you're content, I will leave you with my apologies, and I really do sincerely apologise, but completely unavoidable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gwynfor. Aled.
Sorry, Gwynfor, and sorry, Lucy. The report does say the building condition and building suitability in Llanrydder Mochnant is A in both categories, unlike what Marianne, and unless the report is out of date. And just to add to the capacity issue, Councillor Gareth Jones will know that he's approved a planning application for quite a few new houses in Llanrydder Mochnant for, you know, potential young families. I can't remember, was it 23 or 28? But you know, we got to take the long-term view on these things as well. Thank you. Sorry, Gareth, I didn't.
It was 18, I think. Or perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps it was 28. I can't think. There's a week gone since then.
No, but the point still stands. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lucy.
Chloe.
Thanks. Lucy, I just a quick point really going through, and there's all these other options that have been considered. I just wondered if there was much buy-in for the other options that have been outlined through the consultation, things like the classroom in the countryside. It seems, you know, like it had some legs when we spoke last.
Yeah, it has been considered. Again, the classroom in the country is not a technical term, but it refers to a small school coming under the wing of a larger school. And in the case of this one is Scotland Butlin taking over Brokenllaeth. When we assess these options, we have to assess them against a number of issues. So within the code, the school organisation code, we're required to assess options for rural schools against the impact on the community, the impact on the standards and outcomes, and the impact on travel, which we have done here. But also in terms of when we generally assessing alternative options, you have to come back to the case for change and why we're proposing what we're proposing. And would this alternative option then address these issues? And just a reminder with this one, the case for change for the proposal for Brokenllaeth is based on the fact that they have low pupil numbers, the fact that they are in combined age groups, and the fact that they've got the highest high budget share per pupil, the highest now in the county. So when you consider whether a takeover by Ysgol Llanfyllin of Brokenllaeth, would they address those issues? And I think the answer is no. There'd still be low pupil numbers, there'd still be mixed age classes, and there'd still be high budget share per pupil. And I take Councillor Aled's point about the combined age classes and the situation in Llanrydder. I'll also say this, Ysgol Llanfyllin is in Estyn review, so it's currently addressing the issues raised by Estyn. Ysgol Brokenllaeth is also in Estyn review, and you can see from the paperwork that we wouldn't be convinced that we would be improving outcomes for learners should this option of classroom in the country taken over by Ysgol Llanfyllin be taken forward at this point in time. I hope that sort of explains and clarifies our thinking around that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Aled, were you wanted to come back in quickly?
Very quickly, Marianne left out a key element of that. The classroom in the countryside proposal was for a limited time until the new build happens in Llanfyllin, and the future of the Llanfyllin school could then be reconsidered. because you will have something that's really attractive to learners to entice them to stay in Powys rather than forcing them, as is happening with the current proposal. You know, you're trying to force them to stay in Powys by only providing transport to Llanrhaeadr. Well, you know, the aim of the school transformation program is a pupil-centered approach about making a fantastic opportunity for the children to progress and become, as a, you know, as a guiding principle sets out. And you know, the investment within this area has been kicked into the long grass. There's no doubt about that. And it does worry me that there's clear, strong financial case made in the Section 151's report to close all schools in Powys. You know, it will be really frustrating for council taxpayers in the north of Powys, seeing their education facility, local one, being closed, and then you see another one, a high school, possibly in Crickhowell, which is spending money teaching half the children that come from outside the county. So it's a real frustration about the equity and the use of resource within the communities. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Aled. Right, we need to move on and firm up our recommendations for Cabinet from this meeting. So, if I just summarise perhaps the points that I've got here, which was concerns about pupils moving over the border and linking that to the fact that the catchments haven't been provided, so parents haven't been able to make decisions or respond to the consultation knowing where their children would be expected to travel. So I think that needs to be made clear. The general issue about transport and the extra time involved for pupils and the lack of opportunity to access after school and breakfast clubs, which would be a big loss. We've got the fact that the class sizes in Llanrhaeadr, you know, if all the pupils did move across to Llanrhaeadr, there would be real issues with capacity, particularly with the building of new houses in Llanrhaeadr. And I think there's new houses also being built in Llansilin. There was concern over the financial implications, and that perhaps that wasn't altogether clear, that the savings in the backlog in maintenance might not be as great as was implied in the document. Are there other things that I've missed, or anything that I've said that shouldn't be included, please?
Comment on the Welsh language issue. It's 17.4. It does say, I keep on copying and pasting bits out of different reports. Talks about the extent to which is from the impact assessment, I think. So the extent to which the proposals would support the targets in approved Welsh in Education strategic plan. So, you know, and there's no comment about cross-border stuff there. I think it damages the opportunities for Welsh medium.
Yeah, thank you, Aled. I mean, I think the comments that were made in September 24 still stand, in that we were seeking assurance that the progression of language continuum of Llanrhaeadr and Mochton wouldn't be affected if the number of English medium learners surpassed the Welsh medium learners. And also we noted there that the current draft homeschool transport policy doesn't reflect the proposals. So, you know, we need greater clarity about the impact of the homeschool transport and how parents might have responded to the consultation. I think if they were absolutely clear about what that meant to them, because I suspect that there will be some confusion around that point. Thank you. Anything else that I've missed? No.
I guess it's not the forum for concerns about the transport policy, whether it would it's robust enough to withstand any challenge.
Oh, I guess that we can make that point as part of it, that there are concerns about the expecting that there won't be a cost associated with transport over the border. Possibly there could be. Okay, thank you, everybody. So we then need to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Ysgol Golwg Pen-y-Fan strategic outline case. Is there a report from officers or from Councillor Pete here?
Councillor Lucy, thank you. The next item on the agenda, as you say, is the strategic outline case. As you'll be aware, there are 3 stages to getting approval under the Sustainable Communities for Learning programme for new developments: strategic outline case, outline business case, and full business case. This is the first stage of that process, where we are basically stating an intent to the Welsh Government. It outlines the core plans, core sizes of the property that we're planning to build, its location, and the general outline of the proposal. This proposal comes out of the statutory consultation in respect of Craddock, Mount Street Infants, Mount Street Juniors, which was approved by the previous administration and implemented under this administration, and is part of the work to bring those 3 existing sites onto a single site with modern facilities within the Brecon town area. I have Marianne here who will be taking the lead, but I also have Jim Swaby from the design side who'll be able to answer any technical questions that come forward. But I'll pass you across. Oh, and I have James Chappell as well to answer any questions around the finance and the capital funding side of things. So I'll pass you across to Marianne, who will take us through the paper. And Dr. Richard, if you want to make any comments first around the educational reasons and benefits of moving forward, I'll give you the opportunity to now.
Can I just clarify, please? Chief Exec's just made the point that we're only scheduled to run until 12:30 and that some officers aren't able to stay any longer than that. Is that the case that everybody would have to leave, or is there any scope for running over, because it leaves us with very limited time? Officers?
Chair, I'll need to leave at 12:30, I'm afraid, for another meeting.
Okay, well, let's crack on as quickly as we can then.
Thanks so much. If we go straight to Marianne, and Marianne, I'll comment as we pass through, given we're pressed for time.
Okay, thank you, Richard. So this one is a SOC, so a strategic outline case, and it's a bid for Welsh Government support to build a new primary school in Brecon with early years and community facilities as well. The intention is to build on the Penland site, so on the old Brecon High School site in Brecon, and it will replace the current Ysgol Golwg Pen-y-Fan school buildings, which are currently the old Mount Street Infants, the old Mount Street Juniors, and the Craddock School. And if you recall, we did carry out formal consultation and statutory process to close those schools. In 2022, the decision was made, and the school opened in September 2024 on the 3 sites. So that's where we are. We're looking at a 19.2 million build at this stage, but please remember this has got contingency and optimism bias factored in. This should come down as the project goes through the different design stages and the different business cases. But at this stage, it's a normal percentage of the overall total. The main factor here, I think, is that the preferred option is to build the new school, but the expectation is that the building will be developed using modern methods of construction, MMC. And this is work that we've been doing now over the last few months, and Jim leading on this piece of work, looking at how can we get best value for money for our new school builds. Are there different ways of building them? Are there quicker ways of building them? So that's sort of where we are with the whole thing. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully this will start this project on its journey. The school are operating on the 3 sites, as I said, and it is a challenging situation for them to be in currently.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. So can I open up for questions and comments, please? Any questions? Gareth?
Yeah, can I start by asking what are the surplus places in Llanfairpwll Primary, the other 2 schools in Brecon?
Oh, I'll need to check that for you now, Gareth. Let me get somebody else back.
Okay, I'll go on to a couple of other questions, and if that's okay. On page 18 of the SOC, why we put projected budgets to the penny? I would have thought rounded to the nearest £100 would be a more suitable figure, for a scheme that's 19 million to the penny. It seems ridiculous to me. My key question is on pages 28 to 30 of the SOC. You've got the pupil numbers with the photos of the schools that are different then to the pupil numbers, current pupil numbers on page 19 of the SOC. And I would have expected those 2 sets of figures to be the same. And then more importantly, I think you're proposing a 360 pupil school, which I think in your paper says it's going to open in September 27. But on page 19 of the SOC again, you're projecting pupil numbers in the 3 schools for January 28. So that's a September 27 intake of 258. So we're building it in 102 surplus places. So I would suggest there's 2 classes too many. I'd have thought a school of 300 would be a more suitable number, unless there's other proposals that are running behind it.
Okay, shall I come in? I'll start with that one, Gareth.
Yeah, please do.
The size of the school, if that's okay. So in the options, you'll see there's a number of different options that we looked at. The scope looks at the size of the school and what other facilities are included. And you'll see there's a 300, there's a 360, and there's a 420 option. If you look at those projections, you are right, they are projected to fall across the school. And given the fact that we'd need, if you look at the foundation phase now, and there's 109 pupils in the foundation phase, on an average class size of 30, we'd need 3.6 classes. On the 100, there's 190 pupils in Key Stage 2, and we need 6.3 classes of 30. So we'd need 10 classes for the projected, for the pupil numbers. However, we know pupil numbers will fluctuate, and an additional 2 classrooms would probably be appropriate in terms of how the classes are structured. And if you look at the classes as well, you'll see that the reception class is 30 currently, but all the rest are sort of between 51 and 30, the most of them in the 40s. So that 12 class structure of a 360 place school, we believe would be the most appropriate in order to provide that flexibility for this school. Also remember, it's a town school, so town schools are slightly different because pupils tend to, they'll choose wherever they want to go. Plus, there's housing developments as well. So we think that the 360 is the appropriate size for this school. So, having said that, remember, we will be going through an iterative process of looking at this as we take.
So does Welsh Government still have the requirement that new schools should have no more than 15% surplus capacity?
There is a clause.
And then that puts at risk the repayment of grant?
There's a repayment of grants should we not achieve the capacity within 5 years.
Right, okay. So we need the surplus places at Llanface and Priory at the moment.
Yes, I'll get those to you now. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gareth. Aled.
Thank you, Chair. I really do welcome this investment in the Brecon in the south of the county. When I was on cabinet, we did have a look at those 3 schools, and they are in need of, they've seen their better days, fantastic school communities, but the facilities weren't that great. So on record, I must say I welcome this. And I also welcome the fact that the pupils that attend there will have an opportunity with early years and wraparound provision. It'll be great to see that in other parts of the county, as well as community and multi-agency facilities. So that's a really important part. So it's an early stage at the SOC. There's a lot of stages to go through, but at this stage, really welcome it. I know Mr. Swaby always looks at the last penny when making sure he gets value for money. So I got no doubt that Jim will do his best to bring this in on target. So really positive. Thank you.
Thanks, Aled. Chloe.
Thank you.
Sorry, Marianne, did you want to
just to come back in and confirm to Gareth, there's very little surplus places at Llanface and Priory, was it? So on last year's figures that I can see now, okay, but I'll confirm again for you.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. Chloe, sorry.
Thank you. No, that's okay. It might be a bit of a simplistic sort of just my understanding of this, but I wondered if we could have a bit more information about the costs. So obviously we're all very conscious of the budget at the moment. I can see where this renovation cost is going to cost Paris Council sort of £5.6 million. And while it's great to bring in that Welsh Government money, the maintenance backlog on the sites is £1.3 million. It feels like maybe we could bring these schools up to a standard and do a really good job and make them more energy efficient and really good and still save some money without having to to do this sort of big project. So just a bit of understanding around that, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Jim, are you wanting to come back in to respond to Chloe?
Yeah, Marianne, shall I go first or? Okay. Yeah, the existing schools are very, very tight. They're also very small. They've got very poor access. So there's a whole range of issues around them as not really being fit for purpose, and particularly that's a single school body, which is most critical at the moment. So having had the change in the school being federated, it's currently split across 3 sites, which we need to change radically and forms part of the proposals. And we've looked at each of those sites, and none of those is suitable for the redevelopments, which is why we settled some years ago on the high school site as being the best option there. The other thing to mention is the backlog maintenance cost is only the fabric repair cost to keep it functioning at a reasonably sensible level. It's nothing of the improvement that's required. It makes no allowance for energy standards. So all of that would be in addition to that headline backlog maintenance cost.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. I don't know if anyone else officers want to add anything, but it just seems like such a big difference. You could double the payments on the maintenance backlog and still not meet the budget we've put in for this. But that's fine. I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave, but thank you very much, and I'll have to catch up afterwards.
Thanks, Chloe. Councillor Pete or Marianne, were you wanting to come back in?
I'm just going to come in quickly, Chloe, just before you leave. The backlog maintenance is only one factor in the case for change. At Craddock, you've got 2 porter cabins where there are no toilet facilities, so you've actually got a safeguarding issue that this addresses, and the operation across 3 sites is proving a particular challenge for the head and the senior leadership team there. So these are factors that were discussed quite at length when I was in a different role. Councillor Gwynfor's now got that role, and we looked at this when we were looking at the scrutiny for the school code change for these 3 schools, and this is part of the reasons for change there as well. So I think we're looking very much at learner entitlement, the facilities that pupils are working in, and this is quite an urgent change needed in that respect.
Thanks, Pete. I don't know whether Marianne or Richard wanted to come in first.
Richard probably is going to come in and see.
Yeah, thanks so much. To be honest, I was going to make a broadly similar point to Councillor Pete, really, about some of the other reasons for the proposal, which is supporting the school leadership in the school and supporting the governing body to lead the school as well. It is difficult at the moment for the leadership team in the school spread over the 3 sites, and essentially at points falling between them. So this is to enable the school leaders to really step up and lead one school on one site. And we're confident that that will see improvements in teaching and learning and the wellbeing offer for pupils and for staff actually as well then. So there are, as Councillor Pete said, broader points as well. Diolch.
Thank you, Richard. Marianne, did you want to add anything else?
Same point.
Okay, thank you. Gareth, you wanted to come back in?
Yeah, just to clarify that as well. I know these schools very well from my previous role with the authority, and the staff in especially Craddock and Mount Street Infants have done a remarkable job dealing with the conditions of buildings that they're dealing with, and those 2 schools especially are, well past their sell-by date in a lot of ways. They're very similar to a lot of schools that we've had across the county, many which have been placed in the Glenavon area, etc. The one point I just wanted to make is similar to the point we made around Llansilin that relates to transport, because obviously you've got Craddock school site at the moment, and between Craddock and the new proposed site in Brecon, you've got Priory. So I think we need to have very firm confirmation from Welsh Government that we can include the Craddock area within the catchment of the new school. And then if parents wish their child to be transported to apply for a place in Priory, that we don't have to then transport that child to Priory.
Okay, thanks, Gareth. Unless there's any response to that, I think Councillor Allard's got the last question, and then we'll move to recommendations, please.
Councillor Lucy, I just respond quickly. The concerns that Councillor Gareth expressed were considered during the school organisational code. I'm not 100% sure on the outcome, but it's worth reflecting that quite a few of the children that are at Craddock School are actually from within Brecon town rather than the wider Craddock hinterland.
Can I come back in on that, please, Chair, if I may? I've seen some communication between an officer and Welsh Government, not an officer in education, but it's just in email. I think we should formally write to Welsh Government to ask if we have a duty to transport to the closest school, even if that school is not their catchment school, and get a really strong determination from Welsh Government.
Okay, thanks, Gareth. Allard.
I would really support Gareth in that. I don't think even the new transport policies serves a purpose. We certainly need greater flexibility when it comes to school transport to support parental choice. So, a firm position from Welsh Government would be really give assurance around the new transport policy. Yeah, I think it's really important to do that. The quick comment on the 3-site model. It was always meant to be a temporary arrangement while the new build was supposed to take place. It's a shame that we can't do these things much quicker, but there's processes to go through. But just a quick question to Jim around life costs of schools. Is really detailed calculations are made about the whole life costs of schools, and you don't expect I expect modern building methods to be even more sustainable and more long-term than the old methods. Can you just confirm that? So the overall annual cost to the council will be significantly reduced. Thank you. Well, not significant, but reduced, kept to a minimum.
Absolutely. It's a prime piece of concern. Modern methods of construction doesn't mean it's a simplification or cheapening of the building process or increase to maintenance costs. So we'll be looking at the same lifetime for the building themselves, and that's uppermost in our consideration in terms of how we engage with the market and how we can verify that for councillors.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Okay, so we need to make our recommendations then to Cabinet. And I guess the main ones I've picked up are some concern over the number of classrooms, and we'd perhaps like assurance that we're doing the right thing there and that we aren't going to be over capacity. Gareth, do you want to just come in on that? Go on mute.
It's on the show.
Sorry. Yeah, I think you're right there, Chair, that the projected number of pupils need to be confirmed as we go through the process. I would also say that we need to remove the fact we got budgets to the penny out of that. And the other one, I'd like to see that we confirm that if we are quoting current pupil numbers in two different places, that they're the same. You know, it just makes it look more professional when it goes to Welsh Government.
Okay,
but
thank
you know,
you.
I just confirm that I think we need to state that we recognise that this replacement school is long overdue.
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. And I think the other point was the clarity around the school transport, and asking to that we write to the Welsh Government asking for them to be absolutely clear that we don't have to provide transport from the nearest school.
Yeah.
Can that be slightly not confined to this report alone, but also part of Llansilin as well, because of border issues as well? It's important that we really do get to the bottom of that before it's too late. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a broader concern, isn't it? Thank you, Aled. Yeah, and we would like to note the fact that we're we're pleased that this build is planned to go ahead and is much needed. Was there anything else that we want to recommend? No, happy with that. Okay, thank you, everybody. That brings to an end the formal part of the meeting then. And we will have 10 minutes for reflection at the end of the meeting for those members who wish to stay on and are able to do so. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, before the formal part, what was an element of the recommendation around the classroom in the countryside in the Llansilin one? Was that covered by one of the recommendations or not?
I don't think it specifically was, Aled.
Yeah, no, it's obliquely referred to in the report, but I don't see a strong case being made. But I may be wrong.
Okay, that's something we can check.
Thank you.